Hello everyone, my name is Ivan and I'm presenting today along with my group mates Khalil, Salvador, Danali, and Yahaira. For my part of the presentation, I'll be covering Starbucks company background, its mission, how the company's internal operations work, and the country level analysis of the market we focused on. I'll go through each of these topics briefly before transitioning to the next presenter. As you guys know, Starbucks is known worldwide for its specialty in coffee drinks, teas, refreshers, pastries, and espresso-based beverages. What started as a single store in Seattle has grown into a brand that represents convenience, community, and premium quality coffee. Its global presence and strong brand identity make it one of the most influential companies in the coffee industry. And then another thing to look at is the way they showcase their logo over the years, which changed several times. In the beginning, on 1971, the logo featured a brown detailed two-tailed mermaid, which reflected the brand's nautical origins inspired by Seattle's port city. Then in 1987, Starbucks simplified the design, switched to a green color scheme, and modernized the mermaid to make the brand feel more welcoming. The logo was then refined again in 1992 with a cleaner, zoomed-in version of the mermaid. And then finally, in 2011 all the way to 2025, Starbucks removed the text entirely and kept up the mermaid image, showing how recognizable and iconic the brand had become worldwide. Alright, now going over the founding and origins. Starbucks was founded on March 30, 1971 at Pike Place Market in Seattle, Washington. The company was started by three partners, Jerry Baldwin, Zev Ziegel, and Gordon Bowker, who were inspired by a shared passion for high-quality coffee beans. At the time, Starbucks really didn't sell brewed drinks, refreshers, pastries. Instead, it only operated on a specialty coffee bean and equipment store that taught many customers how to brew premium coffee at home. The founders were heavily influenced by Alfred Peets, the founder of Peet's Coffee, who introduced them to sourcing high-quality Arabica beans. This focus on quality became a core part of Starbucks' identity. Although it started as just one small shop, Starbucks quickly built a loyal customer base and a reputation for premium coffee. These early foundations set the stage for its transformation into the global coffee brand we know today. Alright, now going over the mission and vision. Starbucks' mission and vision have evolved significantly as the company has grown. Back in 1990, the original mission focused mainly on the product itself. It stated to establish Starbucks as the premier purveyor of the finest coffees. This reflected the company's early goal of being known only for its exceptional coffee quality and craftsmanship. However, over the years, as Starbucks expanded and became part of everyday life for millions of customers, the company realized that it needed a mission that aligned more closely with the experience it wanted to create. In 2008, Starbucks introduced its revised mission, which was to inspire and nurture the human spirits, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. As you guys can see, this updated mission shows a clear shift from being purely product focused to being people focused. It emphasizes connection, community, and creating a welcoming environment where customers feel valued. This change reflects how Starbucks sees itself not only as a coffee company, but as a brand that aims to bring people together and contribute positively to local communities. Starbucks internalizes many of its most important operations to maintain strong control over product quality, brand consistency, and the overall customer experience. One of the biggest examples is coffee sourcing. Starbucks buys a large portion of its coffee beans directly from farmers through ethically focused programs like Coffee and Farmer Equity, also known as CAFE practices. This direct sourcing helps the company ensure both quality and responsible production. From there, Starbucks handles much of the roasting and distribution itself. The company operates its own roasting facilities around the world, which allows them to maintain precise flavor consistency across every market. Starbucks also manages its own distribution network, ensuring the stores receive fresh products on a reliable schedule. Another key part of Starbucks' internalization strategy is employee training. Starbucks invests heavily in training baristas and store partners so that service, drink preparation, and brand culture remain consistent no matter the location. Now, finally, Starbucks keeps product development and innovation in-house, from new drinks to store designs and digital initiatives like mobile ordering. Starbucks prefers to develop or test ideas internally. This level of control is a major reason why customers can walk into a Starbucks anywhere in the world and have a similar high quality experience. For the country-level analysis, several important external factors influence Starbucks' ability to operate and grow in this market. Starting with political, economic, and legal environments, the country has a stable government and a growing economy, which creates a favorable business climate. There are also strict food safety and business regulations. While these may seem demanding, they actually align well with Starbucks' focus on high quality and operational consistency. In addition, the country has become more open to foreign investment, which makes it easier for global companies like Starbucks to enter and expand. Next is the socio-cultural environment. Traditionally, the culture has been centered around tea, but in recent years there's been a noticeable shift towards coffee, especially among the younger consumers. Many young people see Starbucks as a modern, social, and trendy place to meet, study, work, and even do interviews. This cultural shift helps people and Starbucks position itself not just as a coffee brand, but as a lifestyle brand. However, there are also significant risks. Starbucks faces strong competition from local brands such as Luckin Coffee, which often appeal to consumers with lower prices and faster digital ordering systems. Policy changes and ongoing trade tensions also create an uncertainty for foreign companies, adding another layer of risk.
Hello everyone, my name is Khalil Sabir, and I will be discussing our industry and market analysis for Starbucks using Porter's five forces and analyzing the company's potential in expanding its business to Botswana, Africa. With the use of Porter's five forces, we will be able to evaluate the power of suppliers, the power of consumers, the power of substitutes, the level of competition, and profitability in recent trends. Let's take a look at the industry overview. Starbucks engages in business in the food and beverage industry with its main focus on the production, marketing, and retailing of specialty coffee items. In addition to this, some of its most popular items also include brewed coffee, frappuccinos, refreshers, and food items such as breakfast sandwiches and pastries. Let's get into the power of suppliers. Starbucks, for the most part, has a balanced control which is not extremely high nor extremely low due to its massive global scale it operates within. Because of its worldwide operations, the company is able to source its necessities from multiple suppliers, which helps reduce their dependency on just one source. This also helps strengthen its negotiating power to help keep a steady leverage over suppliers and prevent disruptions. With the proposed expansion, this normality would change slightly because the country has a smaller coffee production sector. Starbucks would need to import most materials, but as Starbucks is already used to working on a global scale, this won't cause a major concern. The company would still obtain its leverage in order to keep a stable and balanced supply chain. Next, the power of consumers is high in the food and beverage industry, specifically coffee. This is because customers have many options to choose from within this industry. Global brands which can be alternatives to Starbucks are McDonald's and Dunkin' Donuts, while competition locally in Botswana are from local cafes such as the Daily Grind Cafe and Olatia Coffee and Cream. Because of these alternatives, this results in a very low switching cost, which can lead to cheaper and more local alternatives. In order to deal with this, Starbucks can rely more and further create stronger loyalty programs for customers to receive specialized offers, exclusive and limited edition drinks, seasonal menus, customization options, and unique in-store experiences to be able to differentiate themselves from competitors to gather and retain more customers. The power of substitutes is significantly high because of increased consumption of caffeine and caffeine alternatives, which continue to expand. This has led to the increased traffic towards DIY recipes at home, local cafes, and even corner stores. Cheaper, ready to go alternatives customers can choose from are drinks like Red Bull, Monster Energy, Rockstar, and Celsius. The availability of alternatives and popularity of trends within this industry is one of the main reasons for the substitute threat being high. These alternatives include smoothies, teas, matcha, protein shakes, juices, and water. Starbucks is able to manage this risk by offering rewards and loyalty programs that offer which can lead to free items and discounts, limited edition merchandise, and more unique in-store experiences to mitigate these risks. Even with these strategies, substitutes will always remain high as competition increases, so constant adaptations are necessary to reduce the likelihood of permanent switching to substitutes. The level of competition is also very high. The coffee market has been expanding at an extremely fast pace, which has created opportunities for large firms and local cafes to enter the market and increase competition. Main multinational competitors include McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, and Luckin Coffee. Smaller at-home rivals include Keurig, Nespresso, and Folgers. In Botswana specifically, Starbucks would face competition from local competitors such as Hills Roast Coffee, Zen Cafe Lounge, and Wild Sage Cafe. Each of these competitors appeal to different consumer preferences, and according to the Grand View research, the revenue within the coffee market has reached about $269 billion in 2024 and is expected to grow to $369 billion by the year 2030. This industry is specifically driven by new innovations such as specialty beans, different flavors, and sustainable sourcing, which has added an extra challenge to the market. Now let's look at the profitability and recent trends within this industry. According to Balance Coffee, about 1 billion out of the 8 billion population drink coffee. This already represents a large consumer base, which is around 12.6% worldwide. The at-home consumption is estimated to reach $96.45 billion by 2025, while out-of-home consumption is expected to reach $376.70 billion in 2025. In total, the combined revenue is around $473 billion. This industry also supports more than 2.2 million jobs in the United States and generates almost $110 billion per year. Overall, these trends show consistent global growth and the potential for long-term profitability. Here is a graph from Precedence Research showing the coffee market from the years 2025 to 2034. This represents how this market is trending upwards every year and how it shows no trends of decline. From the year 2025, the estimated coffee market size in billions was $256 billion. In the year 2030, this number is estimated to rise to $319.68 billion. And lastly, in the year 2034, this number is estimated to rise to $381.52 billion. For the market potential in the host country, Botswana shows strong potential for the Starbucks expansion. The country has political stability, growing GDP, and has benefited from strong tourism which ultimately supports international brands. The capital, Gaborone, has established the necessary infrastructure for the development of coffee shops such as Starbucks, as there are currently no dominant international coffee chains established. This gives Starbucks the advantage of receiving first mover benefits, and this can help Botswana's lack of cultural diversity. According to Williams and Marshall's strategy, the roast coffee market in Botswana increased at a compound annual growth rate of 1.56%. As a result, it reached 28.90 million USD in 2023. Statistically, 44.3% of the roast coffee market in Botswana, Africa was in control of supermarkets and department stores. This results in 55.7% of alternative retail channels. Overall, the expansion of Starbucks to Botswana, Africa has high potential with strategic entry. As there are no current dominant coffee brands, Starbucks can enter this market and establish their brand. As data shows the potential of current and future coffee market size, this can lead to the possibility of successful and profitable expansion in this region.
Relevant stakeholders, a firm level analysis. So, doing a firm level analysis on Starbucks is very important, and understanding its stakeholders allows us to fully understand strengths and or even weaknesses. When it comes to its affordability, in terms of its expansion, Starbucks has a very strong and financial capability to do so because it is one of the leading coffee chains in the world. Proof of this being that they continue to expand in new areas of the world almost every single year. And Starbucks has the funds necessary to expand into something like Botswana. But this doesn't necessarily mean that it should be done without first understanding if they're properly allocating their resources. This means that they need to know if they're making the right decision in expanding into new territory. And in order to minimize risk and understand if their decisions are justified, it would be in their best interest to start off with maybe one or two or just a few stores to see if there's a good response from the locals and if they are profiting enough from it. One of Starbucks' most impressive attributes is their competitive advantages. This being that they have a very strong brand loyalty, which is something that they have created over the years. Starbucks has one of the world's leading loyalty programs, and because of its very interactive and promotional app, it is known for keeping its customers engaged with seasonal menu drops and holiday promotions, and it really gives its customers the customizable experience that makes them feel like they're part of like the Starbucks team and their exclusive community. And it even allows them to earn the Starbucks points and stars, which customers accumulate for like free drinks. So Starbucks stakeholders would be any group of people or individuals that are affected by something like the expansion into Botswana. Starbucks has internal and external stakeholders. its internal stakeholders would mean the people that are inside the company, and this includes investors, franchise partners, corporate management, and employees. And this group of people have to come together in order to open the new stores, and therefore they are affected by decisions like this. And many of its members would need to travel in order to begin opening these new stores because they are the ones that help them start up and train new employees. And so the external stakeholders, in contrast to the internal, would be the ones that are affected outside of the company. This would be local customers, local government, suppliers, and competitors. They would be mainly affected by the opening of a Starbucks in this new area. For example, locals could be affected because they would have new job opportunities. And then consumers in Botswana would be mostly middle or upper income population, such as urban professionals, which are the working class looking to energize their day with a coffee, or college students needing that extra boost of energy. And then we know that this is the tax bracket that Starbucks attracts with their prices. And other consumers would be tourists who are already familiar with Starbucks and looking for a coffee that they know is already reliable. And the competitors that would be in Botswana would be the local cafes, because the local population is used to supporting them, and maybe getting to try a new coffee place would be difficult. And also coffee chains that are expanding in this place as well. One example of this could be Dunkin' trying to expand there, because they are also a main competitor here in the US. Another thing to take into consideration are the government regulations in this area. Botswana is known to be a multi-party democratic republic, and they are there to apply control and regulations in a sustainable manner. If a company is looking to expand here, it will need to go through the Ministry of Trade and Investment in order to acquire permission to do business here. And they look out for the best interests of their people because they're a new and rising area that was once in a state of poverty, and they are now trying to establish an urban expansion plan that fits their needs. And Starbucks would need to understand that not only they have their local laws, but they have the African laws that they hold themselves strongly to. And having this in mind, Starbucks needs to do sufficient research in order to legally attain permission for the expansion and understand rules and regulations to also understand if they align with their own values and way of running their business. The civil society has a strong desire to incorporate sustainability and a green economy. They look out for their sensitive ecosystem, especially because they have such a high risk of drought, which is an issue that they have to this day. And therefore, Starbucks would have to achieve this level of sustainability and also try to run their stores while understanding that there is this possibility for extreme weather conditions, including droughts.
Moving on to Starbucks' international strategy. Starbucks does currently operate under a transnational strategy. This means the company balances two goals at the same time, like maintaining strong global consistency across all stores while also allowing enough flexibility to adapt to local cultures. We do see several benefits of this strategy, like it's supporting a well-maintained supply chain, it gives Starbucks access to global innovation, and strengthens product consistency and brand durability. This strategy also helps Starbucks grow economic and market knowledge across regions. However, there are also risks. Operating with a transnational structure can create challenges with culture alignment, a more complex ERP system, and ensuring employees in different regions consistently follow Starbucks brand values. There could also be internal conflicts or regulatory complications. However, this strategy does work well for Starbucks and it supports our proposed expansion into Botswana because it allows the company to enter a new market while still protecting brand identity as well as their quality standards. To enter Botswana, our recommended entry mode would be franchising. Franchising would be the best fit for multiple reasons. First, it is a low cost and lower risk option for Starbucks. Botswana currently has low competition in the specialty coffee market, which means Starbucks can enter early and secure a strong position without needing heavy corporate investment. The franchise model also supports faster setup, a smoother supply chain integration, and established organizational systems. On the other hand, franchising does come with risk. Starbucks earns lower profits compared to owning the stores directly, and success depends on the franchise partner's marketing knowledge and ability to uphold Starbucks' culture and product quality. There is also a chance of misalignment between brand expectations and the local practices. Even with these risks, franchising is the most practical and strategic entry mode for Starbucks in Botswana. It would reduce financial exposure while allowing Starbucks to grow brand presence quickly in a stable and emerging market. Starbucks currently uses a matrix organizational structure which combines functional departments with geographic divisions. This system has been effective for managing global operations while still allowing regional flexibility. We recommend keeping the matrix structure for the Botswana expansion. Since it already works well for Starbucks, there is no need to change something that is obviously performing strongly. Under this structure, Botswana would receive guidance both from Starbucks global functional teams, like supply chain, training, and product development, and from the regional Africa division. The main benefit of keeping the matrix structure is that it ensures consistency in Starbucks global standards while still giving Botswana room to adapt to local preferences. It also supports collaboration between local operators and the corporate headquarters. The risks are minimal but worth acknowledging. The matrix structure can increase communication complexity and may require a stronger coordination to avoid overlapping roles. However, Starbucks has long operated under the system and it is well equipped to manage these challenges. Overall, this structure, the matrix structure, provides stability, consistency, and the level of oversight that would be needed for a successful expansion into Botswana.
Hello everyone, my name is Salvador and I'll start off by talking about the four marketing P's for Starbucks' international expansion. As mentioned, we have decided that it would be beneficial for Starbucks to expand to a country like Botswana in Africa because of the growing coffee market in urban areas. With that, Starbucks' marketing team will be looking into affordable city buildings and stores because of the entry mode of franchising um, being utilized. Starbucks finding investors that already own other businesses may mean they can have Starbucks shops within those businesses. When we think about a country like Botswana, where vendors sell products for a lot cheaper compared to the United States, which is because the United States has a higher GDP, means that the price will be calculated according to the difference in GDP and price differentials of Botswana coffee shops compared to the Starbucks that are set up in the United States. The reason we've decided to evaluate Starbucks prices in terms of GDP is because although Starbucks may have access to more cash since they've started from a country with a high GDP like the United States, it's still fundamental that Starbucks is able to compare revenues to realistic expenses so that Botswana locations don't become bankrupt from not selling many items since the prices are too high to cover expenses that are too high for Botswana Starbucks' locations. Starbucks would still sell the same standard products in its Botswana locations, but because Starbucks operates its international locations with a transnational strategy, we will utilize the strategy to have researchers research different flavors and pastry items that will allow Starbucks to fit the Botswana market in order to reach the demand. A way that we have decided to promote the Starbucks brand is by utilizing community outreach events, cultural events, which would offer discounts by dropping the price by 12% of the initial price. Um, and so we have also found that grocery stores and event centers are perfect places for Starbucks to set up flyers and promotion announcements. We are very excited for Starbucks' expansion in Botswana because we believe that Starbucks will have the opportunity to enter an entirely new market where there isn't a lot of competition. The popularity of coffee is starting to grow in urban areas throughout Botswana, which makes it perfect for Starbucks. Starbucks will be able to utilize its profits to continuously expand throughout Africa where there aren't a lot of coffee shops set up throughout the continent. We believe that because of the company's successful implementation of utilizing its supply chain to expand internationally through numerous cities and countries, Starbucks has the strength to dominate a market that hasn't been introduced to a delicious coffee company like Starbucks. Starbucks' expansions shows strength to its shareholders and will motivate new shareholders to start investing in a successful chain company like Starbucks. We believe that it's important that Starbucks utilizes its marketing associates by spending no more than 6 months to research needed numbers which correlate to the four marketing P's we have discussed. But during these first 6 months, the process isn't just going to be marketing, but Starbucks will also need a team of internationally savvy business associates to look into potential regulation and permit issues that would delay Starbucks' expansion. Starbucks will spend the next 6 months connecting with investors and begin building company owned locations. It could take an additional 3 to 6 months for franchisees to hear from Starbucks' expansion and set up a contract with the Starbucks franchise. At the end of the first year of operations, we expect to have a realistic overview if the Starbucks has successfully entered the Botswana market. At this point, Starbucks will be 2 years in from when this expansion thought began, which begins Starbucks's um, determination if it will need to focus on connecting with the Botswana market more, or if Starbucks would be able to expand to other countries within Southern Africa. Of course, the possibilities of expansion are endless, with the goal of Starbucks locations being set up throughout Africa. Thank you.